The superhero genre is overly saturated. There is no surprise there. So having the best superhero cartoon in years come from Big Brother Amazon is a surprise. This is Invincible started out as a joint comic series before becoming its own standalone series in 23 by little-known Image Comics. You may recognize them for characters such as Spawn, well, only Spawn really. Made by Robert Kirkman, co-creator of the Walking Dead graphic novel series and Cory Walker. 18 years and a deal with Amazon later, the standalone cartoon is the best superhero show in years. At first glance, it simply honors traditional superhero animation, and in a way it is almost a homage to greats before it. The pilot even appears as a generic coming-of-age story. The Global Guardians, horrible name in my opinion, and Omni Man seem like purposeful rip-offs of DC's Justice League and Superman. Mark Grayson seems to be a reflection of Spider-Man, and it all seems to round out to be a father-son bonding story of one teen trying to balance his superhero and personal life. We learn of the world alongside Mark Graham growing up, and at its core it is all those things. However, it also has a life of its own and doesn't succumb to what would be a lot of tropes. In the last minutes of the pilot, Omni Man is revealed to be the villain, and quickly ends a father-son coming-of-age story. Taking the best of both Marvel and DC, it rivals, and even in some cases, outperforms many beloved shows. It's full of heartbreak and sadness, the perfect combination of comedy and tragedy, almost clownish violence and down-to-earth dialogue, and not so subtle foreshadowing.
I think Mark is putting his trust in someone he shouldn't, instead of listening to me.
Speaking of Spider-Man, yes, that's actually J. Jonah Jameson right there.
I want Spider-Man!
Due to this nature, I can easily go on and on about character development, foreshadowing, relationship dynamics, character contrast, but I just want to focus on one scene, one speech that, in my opinion, has been memed to death. At the very beginning of the scene, Mark makes it seem like he's in the right of this whole sequence, but instead of making it seem like Mark is being controlled or he's being blinded by nationalism, it actually highlights his internal struggle. It's also to justify his actions to himself and to hide his internal shame. He's forcing himself to believe that everything he's done has been for the greater good, and that somehow, in the end, he's helping humanity. This justification is to help himself. Adding on, it's no secret that he's patriotic, and considers himself very lucky to be able to subjugate Earth. However, Earth being absorbed by the Empire doesn't just give humans purpose, it also gives him purpose. It helps him excuse all the killing and lying that he's done to this point. This war, this conquest, whatever you want to call it, combined with his clear patriotism, almost nationalism, it drives him, it keeps him from going insane, it gives him a mission. However, in this mission, he's also found something else that drives him, a tinge of the human spark. Debbie, Nolan's wife, implanted just a little bit of humanity into him, and over the years it grew. Nolan underestimated the humans, how hard they would fight, and how much, somewhere in his heart, loved them. I have this theory, if you can call it that. If Mark never discovered his powers, Nolan would never have killed the Global Guardians. Invincible in the scene simply believes that Omni Man was biding his time. But if you look at this realistically, Omni Man can easily take on Earth's biggest and baddest weapons and heroes, oftentimes without breaking a sweat. Why would he want to wait all 17 years? You can make the excuse that he's just learning about the culture, but to him, they're nothing more than ants. And throughout the show, Omni Man has been resentful and seems almost sad that Mark has his powers. But he's also afraid. Omni Man knew deep down that he couldn't bring himself to kill Mark, that if the need arose, he would falter. And he did. But it's not because Mark would be too powerful. No, not in the slightest. It's Mark's humanity that beats Omni Man in the end. His body isn't invincible. No, no, absolutely not. He gets his ass kicked every episode, literally and figuratively, in fights and in his relationships. Nolan seems like an unstoppable force, but Mark's spirit, that's an immovable object. And like opposing forces, they charged at each other. Again, literally and figuratively. Nolan knew very well that Mark would never join him. It's a no-brainer. Yet he still tried to recruit him. Nolan could have very easily killed Debbie in their house, but chose to let her live. He actively denounces his wife as nothing more than a pet, and his son something he can replace after another 17 years. But then why does he put so much effort into trying to recruit his wife and recruit his son? Why did he keep the bloody suit in his own home? Why does he fight so hard? Why doesn't he just start again and get rid of Mark and Debbie? His innate humanity doesn't allow it, and for the first time since the end of the pilot, we see some actual character development and even internal conflict for Nolan. It's not some super weapon or elite hero that saves the day. It's humanity. Mark Grayson is invincible not because he's Paul Ultramite. He's invincible because no matter what, he still gets up. No matter what, he doesn't give in or take the easy way out. No matter what, he still loves his dad. That is what makes Invincible, well, invincible. It's not only his best trait, it's the defining characteristic of humanity. No matter how futile it all seems, no matter how impossible it all is, you get up and you keep going. No matter how much there is to take on, you keep on moving forward. That is what humanity is. Oh, screw Rex. Guy skips a funeral for the world's biggest superheroes to cheat on his girlfriend with her friend. Get out of here. I know he's supposed to be annoying or whatever, but come on. Sure, him got his ass kicked in the penthouse scene.